All right, Joe Sena here, founder and CEO of Spartan for the Spartan Up podcast. We got Kyle
McLaughlin here, CEO Tough Mudder for the Tough Mudder No Excuses podcast. Whose podcast is this, Joe?
Kyle, this is my podcast. Just stop trying to steal my thunder. You guys have been good.
I thought we were here for my podcast today.
Welcome to the Spartan Up podcast with Joe Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan Race.
We are talking about overcoming obstacles. The same way we teach people to get over obstacles on the course, we will teach you here on the Spartan Up podcast to get over obstacles in your mind.
None of us ever thought the day would come. The CEO of Tough Mudder and the CEO of Spartan together on the same podcast. But nothing's really changed. They're battling it out as to whether this is an episode of the Tough Mudder podcast, No Excuses, or Spartan's podcast, Spartan Up.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by the EXOGEN ultrasound bone healing system. If you or a loved one has a broken bone, talk to your doctor about EXOGEN. EXOGEN is indicated for the healing of non-union fractures and for accelerating the healing of certain acute fractures with no contraindications. To learn more, visit exogen.com, EXOGEN.com.
Listen, you've been fucking around with me for, it's got to be 11 years now. Everywhere I went, anywhere in the world, they'd say, "Oh, Spartan, is that like Tough Mudder?" I wanted to stick a fork in my eyeball. You pissed me off so much. I've never done a Tough Mudder up until 2 weeks ago with my 8-year-old daughter, because I figured it was so easy. It'd be good for me and my daughter to go have like a play date.
Did you feel like you were crossing the Brandenburg Gate, like you were veering into enemy territory there?
I'll tell you what, I still have PTSD. Whenever I see the damn orange headbands, it drives me a little crazy. But the thing that really drives me nuts now is my daughter walks around the house with her fucking orange headband on, and she's like, "Dad, I'm Tough Mudder." And literally, like, she's an enemy of the state in our house. I'm like, "You're a traitor."
Oh, she's defecting, Joe. I don't know if she's told you, but we offered her a job. She's coming to work for us.
She would kill it. She would kill it. She is a spitfire, as you experienced.
Well, I mean, I think you just divulged the true reason you bought us, right? You were sick of people telling you that Spartan was like Tough Mudder, so you had to own them both.
Anywhere I went in the world, anywhere, I could be in the middle of Slovakia. They would say that to me, and I was like, I can't believe it. No, Tough Mudder's like Spartan, but two different customer sets. I didn't expect that when we actually did the analysis. Two different customers. Only like, 5% overlap? Is that right?
Well, so many people know the weird public story of how this marriage came to be, right? But this was long planned and well in advance prior to all the drama unfolding publicly. And the really good kind of case behind it, we have 4% customer overlap, two very different types of customers, very different communities that are doing Tough Mudder and Spartan. And to be able to have the two biggest names in obstacle course racing in the world have such different diverse customer bases, it's world domination from here, right?
Yeah, and for those listening, look, Kyle and I have the same mission. I think we're completely aligned on this idea that we got to get people off the couch, away from Netflix, off the devices, and just going to get dirty and acting like humans again.
Yeah, and I think we each have a special and unique way of doing that, right? Tough Mudders, getting people off the couch with humor, with the kind of the step into it, ease into it approach, and giving them something, an experience that's tough, that's challenging, but that they can do together as a team. And you guys have done an incredible job of giving people that aspirational achievement to aim for, becoming a Spartan finisher, doing really tough shit on a daily basis and living the Spartan lifestyle. And for a lot of people, they may be able to do both. Start off with Tough Mudder, aim to become a Spartan someday, or vice versa. And I think what we've got between the two experiences is pretty powerful.
How's it been? Did you ever think you were going to come to the dark side? I mean, we've toughened you up. You were pretty soft when we met.
Yeah, only dealing with your bullshit every day. So define toughening up. It's been great, to be honest with you. I mean, as you and I talk about all the time, like the timing of this was pretty wild when you think about it, right? I mean, we completed the acquisition 3 weeks before COVID shut everything down. Yeah, so going into 2020 with big plans about Tough Mudder's comeback year and what that was going to look like, only to then have a global pandemic wipe both of our calendars completely off the map for all of 2020. But I'll tell you, it's been an incredible opportunity to be able to take a moment of not delivering events, right? We never, in 10 years, 12 years for both of our companies, never had an opportunity to be able to stop, turn the engine off, look under the hood, and take a look at what we were doing. And I think both companies have done an immense amount of work that a lot of people don't even see behind the scenes, and sort of retooling everything from, we built an entirely brand new set of obstacles. We've hired almost a 70 or 80% new team, launched digital products, brought our merchandise and all of our products and gear in-house with the incredible team at Spartan, things that we would have never been able to do that fast if we were trying to deliver events in live time. So nobody would have wished for COVID, but an opportunity to not stop what you're doing and to be able to kind of just pivot and retool your operation to come out the backside more lean, more nimble, and ready for growth.
And I want to shine a mirror in our faces here. One of the things Kyle and I had to deal with for the last 14, 15 months was we had sold 350,000 tickets to people early in the, sorry for the noise in the background, early in the season before the pandemic shut the world down. And so imagine 350,000 people around the world bought tickets for one of our races, and rightfully so. They wanted their money back when everything got canceled. But a lot of people don't know how the event business works, but we start planning events, more than a week out. Like, in order to pull off an event, you got to start planning a year out, right? You got to hire employees, you got to pay for insurance, you got to rent a venue, you got to get excavators to dig holes, buy barbed wire, go down the list, get insurance. And so imagine, $35 million worth of tickets sold early in the season. And I'm not asking to play the world's smallest violin for Kyle and I, but how do you deal with that? It was a nightmare. That was a nightmare because, Kyle, I don't know what the experience was at Tough Mudder before we joined forces, but for me, my life has always been the customer's always right. And to have to respond to that many emails and that many inquiries, and literally have people tell me they were sending Italians to my farm to straighten me out if they didn't get their $100 back was tough. It was a tough year.
Yeah, it's not, our customers have been so incredible with us, right? Like, the thing about the people who bought a ticket for an event last March, that event got moved to November, then it got moved again, then it got, sometimes we've got customers whose tickets have been moved 3 or 4 times. They may have purchased that ticket 2 years ago, and they're still trying to show up and get their race in. And it's been a journey for our customers. It's been a journey for the team. I was just before we got on here, I'm myself jumping in to help our customer service team and respond to customers, trying to make sure that we can get people out at the starting line as fast as we can. And whether your ticket's from 2 years ago or 2 weeks ago, we want to get people back out there. So many people have taken this past year and found a new home on their couch, right? And to your point, the world is coming back to normal again, but there's a lot of people who've fallen off the wagon in a number of ways in their life, and it's incumbent upon us to get them back on the train.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It happens to me. It happens to everybody, right? You get complacent. It becomes really comfortable at home. Yesterday we were watching The Godfather for Father's Day, right? And I really should have been climbing ropes or doing, but it gets all of us. So we got to get people moving again. I was just upstairs on the floor above where the finance and legal team are, and our finance guy said, "You won't believe this, but Ernst & Young, I probably shouldn't be saying this, there's so many people not showing up for work, right? Because they're just slow to get back. Everybody's slow to get back. That they got to push out our financial work. They're short people. They can't. And I'm here. I just went to go get a salad down the street. They said, sorry, we had to close early. We couldn't get anybody. So I think people are just stuck coming out of this. And like you said, it's incumbent upon us to get people moving. The obvious big benefit, Kyle, you and I know this, is something in motion stays in motion, right? Something still stays still until it gets moving. So You're going to feel better. You've heard it from millions of people. I've heard it from millions of people. You're going to act better to the people around you. You're going to be a better parent. We're animals at the end of the day that are just dressed up like clowns in these suits, clothing we wear, a hoodie that I wear, right? And unless we're sweating and breathing heavy and running, we're not performing at our best. We're not using this machine. So, some people say to me, and I'm sure they say to you, yeah, but Joe, why do we need electric shock there? Why do we need 20-foot high walls because you need something to shake things up, right? To get moving, to aspire towards. Going outside for a 2-mile walk is good, but it's not enough.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring up electric shocks, and I think that's a lot of Spartans who've dabbled in Tough Mudder come at it and they're like, what's the deal with the electric shocks, Kyle? What's the whole rig behind it? You did it for the first time a couple weeks ago, but I think it speaks to a lot of the lessons that people have learned over the course of the past year as well. We have so many thousands and thousands, millions of people who stood in front of that obstacle over the past 10 years, facing down 10,000 volts of electricity. That obstacle doesn't require a whole lot of physical strength, right? You don't have to do certain training. You don't have to be strong upper body or a good runner to do it. You have to mentally overcome the barrier that sits in front of you and be able to visualize yourself getting to the other side of it and put aside this is going to suck for 10 seconds, for 20 seconds, but I can get through it and I'm going to come out the back end feeling stronger for it. Billions of people have gone through that over the course of the past year and a half, right? And obstacles and barriers thrown at them that nobody could have ever imagined before. Being out of work, losing family members, kind of being saddled with, kids at home, the pressures of the pandemic. And so much of that, we've been training people for that for 10 years, right? Overcoming the obstacles, physical or mental, in front of you, and just pushing through to get to the other side. And I think as the world's coming back online now, right, we're seeing people who've become more mentally resilient. They're a little fatigued, right? They're exhausted after the course of the past year, but the world is more mentally resilient than it was in February 2020, and that I think is something that we're going to see the benefits of for years to come.
There's no doubt about it, right? You got to develop that muscle. We train our biceps, right? We study math and English, and some people study music, but you got to study grit and resilience. You got to develop that muscle, and so that's what this. For those listening or watching, Kyle and I woke up 5 a.m. every morning during the pandemic. He was in New York. I was up in Vermont. We got on an early morning warrior call. We looped in, 70 or 80 people around the world, and we just did a touch base every single day. It sucked. It sucked getting up that early and doing, but it was, we were better for it, and we inspired those people around us, and then they inspired some people. And sometimes you just need a ritual, right, every day to get through tough stuff. You need a habit that you stick to, and it was great for me. I ended up getting a ton of workouts in because I didn't want to. Every morning when we got on the call, I didn't want to be rubbing my eyes like I just woke up. So I had to get a workout in before we did it. Then I got a workout in after because I got to work out with my kids, and it was great. By the way, I don't know if you get it. I still get email thank yous for helping people through that time.
Yeah, I mean, personally, that 5 a.m. Kind of milestone, as you say it. Like I'm a runner, as you know, and I more consistent running in during that 3-4 months we did those calls every morning than I ever have, and being able to know every morning when I'm getting up, going to be energized by sort of knowing what's going on around the world, and then go pound out a few miles right after it. So it was a good hallmark for me coming out of it. But yeah, it's interesting. Like Tough Mudder for so many people is a big part of their life and their journey, whether it's a physical fitness journey or a mental health journey or a weight loss journey, a recovery journey. And and to those people, those are the ones that I think about the most. When we were going through kind of the drama at the end of 2019 or 2020, or going through COVID, and about why we do what we do. I fight and push and hustle every day because I know that there are people out there who coming to an event, finishing a course, crossing the finish line, for them, it's like going to church. It's their community, it's their sense of value, it's their sense of worth, and and why they belong, and why they push for it, and why they're invested into traveling all over the country to put orange headbands on and get muddy with us, right? And it sounds, maybe it sounds a little too overly philosophical or deep, but so many people just need a place to belong, right? And a place that gives them a sense of, of achievement and courage and accomplishment and worth to be able to say that, look, maybe I'm 45, 50 years old and I'm overweight and I didn't think I was capable of doing this, but I went out and this group of people proved to me that I could do things I wasn't capable of doing. The mental benefits of that and the way you can use that power to sort of retool your whole philosophy on fitness, on life, on work, on family, et cetera, being able to provide that opportunity for people and get them to keep coming back and doing it, it's sort of the best therapy there is.
No doubt about it. We're doing, I'm sure people will get upset for me saying this, but I'm just going to say we're doing good work. There's a lot of things we could be, you and I could be doing every day. We could be selling handbags, cotton candy, doing whatever, right? But we're getting people moving. We're keeping people healthy and making them more resilient.
I hear we're doing a little event together in December, right? Spartan, Tough Mudder.
I told the team I'm not doing it. As much as I like you guys, I'm not putting that event next to you. Not happening. You're gonna weaken our brand.
These people are going to finally see who the dominant operator of obstacle course races are.
That's interesting. We should do an NPS score, right? For everybody that they have to do both, and then we get a rating. I like that.
I need something more immediate than that, right? We're just gonna, we're gonna put one of those big, like exit tunnels, right? You go out the red side or the orange side. Pick which team you belong to.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm sure people will enjoy those little flimsy orange terry cloth headbands over the medals, the heavy Spartan medals that we give out.
Those heavy chunks of aluminum you're importing from China. Yeah. Sure.
You're bad. All right, listen, I might as well start asking the questions since this is my podcast.
I can't believe you pulled this out from under me, but fine, go ahead. Whatever. What do you got?
What advice would you give people that are stuck?
We'll be right back to this interview. But first, a little bit of information from EXOGEN, today's sponsor. Spartans, a broken bone can interrupt your daily activities and, even worse, keep you on the sidelines. Choosing the best treatment can be stressful. You can jumpstart your bone's natural healing process using EXOGEN 20 minutes a day. EXOGEN helps you get back in the race. Don't let a broken bone keep you on the sidelines. Talk to your doctor to see if EXOGEN is right for you. EXOGEN is indicated for the healing of non-union fractures and for accelerating the healing of certain acute fractures with no known contraindications. To learn more, visit exogen.com. That is EXOGEN.com. And now back to the interview.
What advice would you give people that are stuck?
So Joe, I don't know if you and I have ever talked about this actually, but I was stuck a number of years ago. I've been in the sports business my whole career, ever since graduating college. Worked in live events, lived on the road for the first 5-6 years of my career. And when you do that, you can easily develop unhealthy habits, right? You're staying in hotels, you're eating in restaurants, you're on airplanes all the time. You don't get to be home. You can't really go to the gym, have a consistent routine because you're always somewhere else. And when I was young, my early 20s, it got the best of me. And I'll show you this picture here, but this was Kyle in 2012, 2013. Wow. And I woke up, it was New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day, actually, 2014. I was going to get married later that year. And New Year's Day, I woke up and I was like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. I gotta make a change. And I got to think about the way I do this. And it was nothing dramatic, right? There was no fad. There was no, didn't join a new gym or take a crazy diet or anything. It was about daily progress, and about setting. For me, it was micro goals, right? It was, I want to be here by the end of the week. I want to be here by the end of the month. And I want to be here by August 1st, the day I'm going to, walk down the aisle and marry my wife. And I lost 70 pounds that year, became a runner, transformed my fitness, my way of thinking, my whole outlook on things, my motivation, how I slept, the schedule I maintained. And that has played a big part for me in not just my own personal health and physical fitness, but in thinking about, how I approach everything, right? It's not about setting big, unachievable, lofty goals for yourself that you're destined to fail on, and that, 1 week into it, you give up because, you put your expectations too high and made it unachievable. It's about incremental improvement. It's about, you say this all the time, but it's about being 2% better today than you were yesterday, and moving forward and setting progress. And I think for me, the events that we deliver, and whether it's Tough Mudder or Spartan or, triathlon or running or anything else, right? Being able to put a date on the calendar that becomes that goal in the future, and then, backing out all right, I need to be here by the end of this week. If I want to be here, if I want to be there by the end of the year, I want to be there 2-3 months from now. So, what we do is really personal to me, and I don't share that with a lot of people, but, the mission that we live on a daily basis and standing at that finish line and watching other people do that, it hits home for me.
That's awesome. I didn't know that story. I didn't know. Yeah, that's powerful stuff. It's powerful when we're not just lip service, right? When we're actually living it or have an experience like you did. But we've all gone through. I went through similar stuff. I was on Wall Street and I was eating lots of dinners every night. I was doing lots of business and not paying attention to myself. And when I finally got back on track and felt as good as I felt, I was like, this is it for the rest of my life. And so the way I get through it, not that you're asking, the way I get through
your podcast, you're going to ask yourself the questions too, Joe, right?
Clearly, since you don't know how to do a podcast, I flipped the script and I made it so that when I don't do what I've committed to every day, it hurts more than actually doing it. So yeah, it sucks to wake up early. Yeah, it sucked this morning. I got on the bike for an hour and then I did the rope. I got the rope machine for 30 minutes and I didn't feel like doing it. And I just said, Joe, it's going to suck more if you don't do it. So you do 5 minutes and 10 minutes and before you know it, you get it done. And then you feel great. And then you jump in an ice cold shower and that sucks. But I just made it worse not doing it. I love that saying, right? The only bad workout's the one you don't do. And I don't think that just applies to workouts. I think anything challenging that you fight through and do, you pretty much always look back and say, hey, I'm glad I did that.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the core difference between Tough Mudder and Spartan. Tough Mudder is about incremental progress and encouragement, and Spartan's just about making it suck worse. So we've really boiled it down to 2 quips there.
All right. Hey, what was Scott's last name that did the Outside Magazine article between Mudder and Spartan, that famous article? You remember Scott's last name?
Oh, that was the big kind of expose on the battle, right? Between
Yeah. Well, next time we do this, we got to get him on. We'll challenge the listeners and the viewers out there to tell us what Scott's last name was. But anything else you want to cover?
Well, Joe, what's the biggest surprise to you? I mean, you just did your first Tough Mudder event 2 weeks ago. Obviously, you've had preconceived notions about what Tough Mudder was or what the experience was for 11 years of competition. But finishing your first course, what surprised you?
Well, I will say for the 11 years, I this is going to sound ridiculous, but I wouldn't look at the website. I didn't want to subconsciously take anything from you guys. I never went and did an event. It drove me every day to work harder, to beat Mudder. And so to finally get out there and do it, the thing that surprised me most was fun. It was fun. I wanted to hate it. I wanted my daughter to hate it.
There's some good pictures. I mean, I've never seen you smile as much as you did that day.
I know. I never smile. So we're eliminating all those photos from the digital ecosystem. Scott Keneally, that was his name. Wonder whatever happened to that guy.
Rise of the Sufferfest, though. That's I was rewatching that a few weeks ago. It every time I watch it, the further on I've been. I mean, I've been a Tough Mudder for just over 3 years now, and I watched it before I started. It made absolutely no sense to me. And in every way, I've gotten a little bit further into this progression. You get new gems every time you watch that film.
No doubt about it. So everybody's got to come down. We'll do the Tough Mudder and Spartan event together. If you don't want to do the Tough Mudder and you just want to do the Spartan, it makes perfect sense. No issue at all. I want to see you guys down there.
Yeah, Joe will gladly charge you for a ticket if you want to go carry a bucket of rocks or throw sticks at the wall or whatever else you guys do on Spartan courses. You want to come and try out real obstacles? We're glad to have you at Tough Mudder.
You're awesome. Remind me to never do this again.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Spartan Up Podcast. Spartan Up is your partner in resilience for mind, body, and spirit. We're here 3 days every week. Tuesdays, you can find Joe Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan, interviewing biohackers, business leaders, authors, and athletes. Thursdays and Saturdays, catch episodes from our DECA, Endurance, Trail, Combat, and La Ruta series. Do you know someone who needs a little nudge? Maybe they could use some motivation, tactics to be stronger, healthier, happier, more successful. Tell them about our show. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. We want to know who's watching and who's listening. Thanks. See you next time. This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by the EXOGEN ultrasound bone healing system. If you or a loved one has a broken bone, talk to your doctor about EXOGEN. EXOGEN is indicated for the healing of non-union fractures and for accelerating the healing of certain acute fractures with no contraindications. To learn more, visit exogen.com. EXOGEN.com.